One of the core challenges that we face in our field is how to stimulate diffusion of EVs in the Netherlands or in any other countries. The Dutch government once set a target to have 1 million EVs by 2025. If we look at the current numbers, we have just reached about 10% of that target. So more effort is needed to reach the target in the coming years. But how could we do that? How can we do that? There are multiple options, and you can make a very basic distinction between giving more, option A would be giving more financial incentives to the users. Or we could try to change the perception of car drivers regarding EVs. And in my opinion, of course, the second option is a more less expensive option and a less expensive option. But we need to understand the current the perception of EV drivers regarding the what they drive. So to do that, we conducted a survey. Of course, we know that the current EV drivers are the innovators in the Netherlands, but we hope by mapping their perceptions to understand something more about their background. Just a short note about the survey setup. The survey was, the questionnaire was composed by researchers from Eindhoven, from Utrecht University, and from the University of Groningen. We sent a survey to a group of users of about 1,300 EV users, which are actually quite long-time users, and we got a response rate of about 22%. So the main objective of the survey was to get more understanding of the background of this group of people, what motivates them to be the innovators and the first buyers of EVs. And today I'm going to actually present some of the results that we got. It's still ongoing research, and I'm going to share some of the visualizations that we made based on the results that we got now. So first we looked at the socio-demographic background of the EV users by looking from 3 different separate indicators. So first we looked at the education level of the EV drivers. So here the green bar represents the EV drivers, and we compared the results that we got from EV drivers to the Dutch average, and the blue bars represent the percentage of the Dutch average belonging to each education category. So here we see very clearly that actually the EV drivers belong to the higher education category of people. Second, we looked at the age, what's the average age of the EV drivers. Also here we see that they are overrepresented in the category 40 to 50 years old. So nowadays we call them middle-aged, previously we would say old people.
Thank you.
Finally, we looked at the income. Also, when you look at the income, you see that actually the overall majority, almost 70% of them, have earned more than 15,000 euros per year. So also in that area, they are not representing the Dutch average. Of course, this is a small proportion. They don't represent the Dutch average, but it will of course change over the time once more affordable EV types are being introduced into the market. In addition to the social demographic indicators, we looked at actually some more characteristics of these drivers. The first, above the statements, we proposed in this statement, well, solar and wind become cheaper than coal in the coming years. And we made actually a distinction between plug-in hybrid users and full electric users. So there were scale ordered questions, so the more blue colors represent that they agree with the statement, and the more orange colors that they represent a disagreement of the respondents on the statement. So we see a lot more blue colors also, on the wind and the solar statement. also, when we asked the EV drivers about what do they think about self-driving cars, will self-driving cars become available in the Netherlands within the 10 years? Also here we see that more than 80% of them think that it will be an option within the 10 years. Oh yes. In addition, we asked, will you use a self-driving cars? Of course, you will not drive a self-driving car. They said also yes on this topic. So then we asked, what's your own image of yourself? How do you see yourself in the society? Two things stand out actually here. Majority of them sees themselves as a pioneers in areas of new technologies. So you see also in this graphs more and more blue colors. So that indicates that they agree with the statement. Also on the notion of whether they see themselves as environmentally friendly people, also that notion was, and overall majority agree with that. So then we moved on and then asked, why have you purchased an electric car? Two important reasons were given. The first one was actually being technological innovative. Of course, that's a part of being an innovator in this. And also the low fixed cost of EVs was given as a reason. The last one, so it was a bit in a contradiction with the earlier reason given, being environmentally friendly, because here we noticed that the tax incentives for a majority of them was a main reason. And another thing that was obvious, that they could also choose for a statement whether the low CO2 emissions of EV was an important consideration for them to buy an EV, but that was not many responses were agreed on that statement. So then we asked, while you're not driving an EV, what do you think about it? And when we focus at the top graph, so the EV drives nicer than the gasoline car, they are really crazy about their cars. They really like it, so more than 90% of them says just simply it drives much nicer than internal combustion engine car. And then we said two other interesting things are I want to show is actually we asked them whether they missed the sound on EV. And here you see more orange colors indicates that they really totally disagree with this statement, that they say, well, we don't actually miss it. And also they say, we proposed them the statement whether the cars EVs should be equipped with a sound warning system. Also they said it's actually not needed. As I think in the beginning some parties were proposing this option. So then we said, while you're so passionate about your car, do you actually promote it to others? Do you try to convince others in your surrounding to drive an EV? So the first statement, I allow others to drive my EV. We saw here actually a difference between the plug-in hybrid users and full electric users. And we can see actually from this graph that so the scale is here not is time-based, frequency-based, so the more orange colors indicates that they promote it and let other people drive more frequently compared to the plug-in hybrid users. We tried also, of course, range anxiety is a main issue, and we tried to get an idea what the drivers think about it. And here we saw that for plug-in hybrid users, they think that's actually the current range is insufficient compared to full electric drivers. The full electric drivers are at this moment more happier with the range. We also asked, so you're probably not happy with your, if you're not happy with your current range, what's then ideal range? What do you want? Can you make any wild guesses what the average number came out from this? So we had about
250?
Close.
Yeah, I don't know.
Martin, you're closer. It was actually 375 kilometers. And we saw here, the graph shows the owners of different EV types. We saw that actually Renault Zoe owners, they are quite happy with the current range. And the more plug-in hybrids are not so happy, except for the Model S drivers. So probably the saying goes here, the more you have, the more you want. And in addition, we asked the EV drivers about the current developments such as smart charging. So we asked them what they think about smart charging. The important thing that stood out was that actually almost 90% of the both plug-in and full electric drivers want to have this overruling option. We had this discussion in the session in the morning, so they want to be in control of the charging of their EVs. But I think from our result, we can conclude that they get the urgency and the added value of smart charging. So they say smart charging avoids overloading of the grid, and they also say that the smart charging stimulate the usage of renewable energy in the future. So on both statements, they agree. In the earlier session, we had also a discussion about fast charging. We also included this one as a topic in the survey. The first thing is that the EV drivers, based on the results that we got, that they think that it will coexist with the current slow chargers. So you can conclude that from the first one. So we asked them, will the fast chargers replace the public charging stations? Actually, the correct thing was, will a few fast chargers replace many public charging stations? And here we can see that actually both groups disagree with the statement. But they say, if you have more fast charging options, that will increase your range, of course. And finally, also regarding the home and work charging, we proposed in the question, will you use more fast charging in the future once they're more available? They said, no, we will still be using our home charging chargers at workplaces. So in a nutshell, these are the results that we got. Currently, as I mentioned, this is still ongoing research. But in the future, we want to have actually more respondents, of course. At this moment, we had about 300, and therefore we actually need your input. Because there's, in Norway, I know they have like a major database when you can contact the EV drivers, but in the Netherlands it's not that well organized. So we would kindly ask the parties to join us and to try to send a survey to more EV drivers so we have more reliable results, and we should, I think, repeat this every year to get a more and more understanding of EV drivers. Thank you all for your attention.